Welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast, the place where we talk about getting businesses seen, remembered and chosen. I'm Joanne Pearce, a visibility specialist and friendly northerner, wife, mum and someone who's built 2 businesses from the ground up on nothing more than a wing and a prayer and sheer determination. I help independent businesses from around the world get found using honest, down-to-earth marketing grounded in real-life business experience. I believe that every business owner has a story to tell, and that story deserves to be at the very heart of their marketing. This podcast is for businesses of all kinds, whether you sell products or services, work locally or globally, are big or small, and you want to be found without relying solely on social media. Expect real stories, honest conversations, a good dose of northern humour, and simple visibility advice that will actually move the needle for your business. Let's go. Hello and welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. So I'm folding washing while I record this today because I have been staring at the washing basket for 3 days, hoping that someone else might sort it out, which never happens, does it? And it got me thinking, right? Everybody has got a style, don't they, when it comes to dealing with things. Some people, they tackle jobs straight away, like me. I'm one of those, normally. Some people avoid them. That's Dave, my husband, hence why the washing basket has been sat there for 3 days, still full. Some people leave them until they become overwhelming. And the more I thought about it, the more I started wondering, are we exactly the same in our businesses as we are in our relationships? Because if you're someone who avoids difficult conversations in a relationship, do you also avoid awkward client emails? Yeah. If you're a people pleaser in your personal life, are you maybe also undercharging in your business? And honestly, I think there may be something in this because I reckon the kind of partner that you are is probably the kind of business owner you are too. So I'm thinking, whilst I fold my family's washing today, let's try and find out what your relationship style might be saying about your business. Because your business isn't separate from you. It is you, but just in a different outfit. And I think when we're looking at things like how we communicate, how we handle rejection, how we receive attention, these things actually say a lot about us, not just as partners, but as owners of our own business. And the idea is that your behaviour in relationships often mirrors how you are in your business. So I'm going to jump right in there by starting with myself as an example, right? This will make you laugh. I'm going to give you a sneak peek into my past dating life, which was colourful, to say the least, because apparently this is entertainment now in your 40s, folding washing and talking about dating into your phone. And I'm going to start with how I would describe myself in a relationship. So when I had the idea for this podcast episode, I said to my husband, Dave, I said, right, I've thought of something that'd be really good to record an episode on. And it's all about your relationship style, you know? He just looked at me like a bit blankly at first. So I said to him, if you had to describe how I am in our relationship in 3 words, like what would you say? I know, dangerous question, right? Now, I'll tell you what I said first, okay? So I said that I am very giving, I like to think. I'm probably quite nurturing. I like to take care of people. And on the downside, I'm slightly controlling. Yeah, first one to admit it. Not as bad as I used to be. I'll get into that later. But I definitely think that I do have this element of control that I like to maintain in a relationship in terms of how I like things done. You know, I'm not saying I don't let Dave out anywhere. What I'm saying is, you know, I've got a certain way that I like to hang the washing on the line. There's a certain way that I like to cook the rice, as he will tell you if you ever met Dave. Don't ever cook Joanne rice. She hates it if you do it. Like, he will never cook me rice because every single time he does, I just can't eat it. I mean, maybe he's just bad at making rice. I don't know. But I have to do it myself. Okay? That is controlling. I understand that. But it's also food preference. You know, I'm eating the damn thing, so I want to make sure that it's nice. Anyway, that's how I describe myself, okay? Very giving, nurturing, and slightly controlling. So then I asked Dave, I said, how would you describe me? Didn't tell him what I'd said at this point. And he just looked at me and he said, well, first one, your way or the highway. Right, thanks. Second one, you always walk into me, which is not a relationship style. I don't do that on purpose. You always walk into me. Like, what? Third one, tough but sensitive. Which I think what he means by that is I'm resilient, you know? But then he said at the end of it, I do love you though. Like they were all negatives. I was like, oh, thanks, Dave. But looking at someone else's opinion of how you might be in a relationship is actually quite a good insight into what your business style might also be. And I know that I am definitely similar in business as I am in my relationship. For example, you know, I'm definitely very giving. I do give a lot to everyone in this house, but also to my clients as well. And I always go above and beyond for them. Sometimes more than my capacity. You know, we do that a lot, don't we? Put ourselves under pressure, and we can give too much sometimes, but it's just built in us. That's just who we are. Nurturing. I'm definitely a nurturer. I love to look after my family. You know, I love a cozy home. I love clean PJs on my child when she will have a bath. I like their bellies to be full, you know, feeling safe. I'm definitely a nurturer. And again, that translates to business as well as with my clients. I like to hold their hands a little bit, you know, I don't like to leave them to it. And I do whatever I can to make them feel safe and supported. And then slightly controlling. Yeah, okay. Now, I definitely have got better at this now. I'm in my 40s. I don't care quite as much about some of the things I might have done in my younger years. But I do still have a problem with hanging washing on the line in a certain way and rice. That's just never going to change. Okay. But in regards to work, I'm very similar in that I like systems. I like things to be organised. I'm a doer. I get shit done. So even when I'm in the house, it's like if I'm waiting for something to be moved up the stairs because it's too heavy, and I'm just asked Dave if he can do it for me. If he's not done it within 10 minutes, then I will break my back trying to get it up the stairs and into the loft because I want it done. The amount of times that my mum used to shout at me because I lifted a heavy plant pot, and she'd be like, what are you doing that for? You'll give yourself a prolapse. Let Dave do it. And I'm like, yeah, but I'll be waiting like half an hour. Sometimes it's not half an hour, let's be honest, it can be weeks. But I just get on with it. And it's the same in business. I have been known to get people doing things that they wouldn't normally do. I like to call it getting a rocket up their arse, but you know what I mean. I motivate them. That's the word I'm looking for. So, what are you like in your relationship? And does it mirror what your business style is? Okay, so it's thinking about things like how you communicate. Are you open? Do you avoid confrontation? Are you honest? You know, how do you handle rejection? Do you turn into a psychopathic Martha from Baby Reindeer, or do you let things go? It's their loss, yeah? And how you receive attention and validation. Are you always needing reassurance, or are you okay just to do your own thing without needing people's validation all the time? So there are many different types of relationship styles and business behaviours. And I've sort of narrowed them down into 5 different styles of business owners. And I want to see if any of these stick out to you and you think, yep, that's me, both in my relationship and in business as well. Okay, and I was doing this thinking about some of my past relationships. So I'm going to chuck in some anecdotes here, say from my past dating life, which will hopefully make you giggle, but it also illustrates perfectly the sorts of styles that we can show in relationships and in business. Okay, so the first relationship style that I've got on my list is the ghoster or the avoidant. All right. Now, this person in a relationship, they pull away when things get a bit serious. You know, they're avoiding difficult conversations. They disappear a bit when it feels overwhelming. Now, I was never really one of these sorts of people. I was a bit more the opposite. And I don't know if it's a more of a male thing. When things get a bit serious, they tend to pull away a little bit. But I did have a few boyfriends who I remember in my 20s when I suggested going on holiday with them. We'd been going out a few months. And I was like, oh, you know, shall we maybe go to Spain together or get away for a few days? They'd never hear from them again. Yeah, totally ghosted because of this fear of some kind of commitment. Like, it's too much, it's too overwhelming. Oh my God, you want to marry me? Oh no, I just want to go to Spain for a few days holiday to see if I even like you. Because my mum always used to say to me, Joanne, don't marry anybody until you can make sure you can live with them. And I totally get what she meant now. But also, there were times I was a little bit like this myself, I'd say, in my late teens. You know, you're emotionally immature. So, like 18, 19, maybe my early 20s. I didn't do it much, but I definitely did ghost a few men after a couple of bad dates, particularly one who I met online who turned up with a glass eye. Honestly, no word of a lie. And another one who, you're not going to believe this, it's disgusting. He farted after he kissed me, right? And he said, that was just his thing. Sorry, Joe. I'll always remember that. My sister kills herself laughing about this all the time. And then obviously ghosted them, which I think was more than reasonable. So if you are a ghoster in a relationship, what does this look like in business? Maybe you back off when things look like they may actually be working. Like you come up with an idea, it's selling. And then all of a sudden you go, oh shit, that means I've got to do some work. Oh God, this is actually taking off. I can't handle this. I'm out of here. You know, that sort of thing. Maybe you ignore inquiries when they come in. Maybe you leave emails sitting there for days because it can just feel a bit too real, a bit too much. Maybe you avoid posting on your socials when things aren't going well. Like you are emotionally unavailable in your business and in your relationship if you are a ghoster. Now, the second relationship style, I don't know if this is you, this is the people pleaser. Right, a lot of us will probably relate to this one. Now, in relationships, a people pleaser is someone who struggles to say no, going along with things, even if you're not 100% happy with it. Now, this was probably me in my 20s. I had a long-term boyfriend at the time, and I mean, I went along with a lot of what he wanted. He rode a motorbike. I was riding pillion on the back for years until he fell off in Greece and a serious injury on my ankle. He got away scot-free, of course. But I missed a trip to New York and still have problems from that ankle now. And it was just one of those things. I think, would I ever do that now? Would I get on the back of a motorbike and ride around Europe with Dave? No, probably not. And not because I don't trust Dave riding a motorbike, which actually is probably the main reason, but because it's not something that I'm interested in. And I'm happy to say that now in my 40s. I don't want to go around on a motorbike. I want to sit in my car. I want to play my R&B tunes. I want to eat car sweets. And when I stop off at a service station, I don't want to have to dismount a bike, peel down the awful leather pants to go to the toilet, and then it's like a half-hour mission to get all the clothes back on again. No, I just want to nip out of the car, go for a wee, get back on the road. So I wouldn't do that again. I mean, bloody hell, this man nearly converted me to Greek Orthodox just to be with him. God, no wonder it didn't work out. Could have been a whole different life for me. But in terms of being a business owner, what does this look like? What does a people pleaser look like? Well, I think it's people who, they're writing long email replies, over explaining a quote, for example. Oh, the reason why I'm charging this is because, well, it takes me this long to make it. It costs me this much. There's rising costs in materials. All this stuff that we try and over explain. We don't need to. That's the price. You take it or leave it. But people pleaser also needs reassurance. They need people to say, yeah, you're doing the right thing. You run ideas by your friends, by your parents, your siblings, bloody hell, the person in the gym next to you, the hairdresser. You're asking them all the time, is this the right thing? Should I be doing it? You're also struggling to say no. You might be taking on too much work. Yeah. And you are over explaining all the time. You're either underselling yourself or you're over delivering. You're taking on too much, basically. And actually, when you think about it, you're not running a business, you're running an emotional support service. Yeah, so that's the people pleaser. We're all guilty of that one to some degree, I think. Okay, so number 3, we have the all in too fast one, also known as the Roy. Why is it called the Roy? So one of my sister's ex-boyfriends in her 20s, yeah, he was like a Mad City fan. I hope he never listens to this. And he was like so keen. Like, he literally wanted to marry my sister after about 2 weeks. And he did ask my dad for her hand in marriage, to which my dad said, are you joking? Thank God she didn't marry him. However, we used to call him Roy because of Roy Keane, Robbie Keane, and Kevin Keane, which were the football players. So we used to call him Roy, yeah. So when we were dating, during our dating life, if we were keen on somebody, we used to say, oh, don't be too Roy. It used to really make us laugh. Anyway, so the all in too fast one, the Roy. So this is me in my 20s, all right? In relationships, you fall hard, you fall fast. Sometimes you're planning your wedding and how many kids you're going to have after 2 weeks, which was the case with my sister's ex-boyfriend. And the relationship, it can burn out just as quickly as it started. And admittedly, I think this was probably me in my late 20s. Because, as a woman, you're thinking, oh, God, the clock's ticking. I've not met anybody yet. And you start working backwards, don't you? You start thinking, oh, well, if I want to have kids by the time I'm 35, then I want to really have been with that person for maybe 3 or 4 years. And then I want to make sure I've gone travelling for a year. And then I've got to get to know them. And, oh, God, then you start thinking, Jesus, I need to have met this person 5 years ago. And then you panic. So this was a bit like me in my late 20s. So if you've heard my very first podcast episode, you'll probably know a little bit about the fact that I married a man that I met on a plane. Yeah. If you haven't listened to it, I recommend that you go back right to the beginning and listen to that very first episode. But I fell hard and I fell fast for this handsome American man that I met on a flight back from San Francisco. Now, it turned out it was a relationship from hell. Again, referring you back to that episode, I'm not going to go into it here. But it did burn out fast, just not as fast as I would have hoped, maybe. It actually took me the best part of 2 years to get him out of my life. However, this sort of relationship style is when you just go all in. You throw caution to the wind. You don't care. You think, what have I got to lose? I'm going to do it anyway. And this can translate to a business style as well. Like, are you one of these people who just throws yourself in there, which is not a bad thing. And I do think sometimes we have to do this in order to get started. But do you do too much too soon? Yeah. Do you launch everything you've got at once? Do you spend too much money? Do you outsource too soon? Yeah, you've sprinted a marathon. I see this all the time. New businesses, they're excited. They go out there, they rent a studio. They've got overheads of like £800 a month or a shop, on the high street of where they live. They can't actually afford it yet, but they do it because they're just chucking everything at it and hoping for the best, which, like I say, sometimes you do have to do. However, sometimes you don't and you shouldn't, and you have to hold back a little bit. Maybe you go and get yourself a personal assistant after a few months because you decide that you can't handle your emails and you want to feel like a businesswoman. But actually, you're paying this person 500-600 quid a month for doing some stuff that actually you could do yourself if you were better organised. And then what happens? Well, you run out of money, your business collapses, and you feel like a failure. When actually, if you'd just taken your time a little bit, not been quite as Roy, and just been a tiny bit more cautious, then actually you could be in a different position by now. So, if you are a bit of a Roy in relationships, are you also the same when it comes to your business? You're not going to forget that one now, are you? The fourth relationship style that I identified was the guarded one, the one who's feared of rejection. Now, in relationships, what does this look like? Maybe you keep your walls up. Maybe you're afraid to be vulnerable, so you don't fully commit to someone. Maybe you don't show yourself fully. Yeah, this is definitely not me. I can 100% say that I am not guarded at all. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Even when I've been burnt, I still put myself back out there when it came to relationships. The only way that I probably would say that I was slightly guarded was maybe in my very early 30s when I was a little bit pissed off with men by this point. I've been burnt numerous times. And at that point, I'd kind of come to the conclusion that I probably wasn't going to have kids because, again, working backwards, I'd have to meet someone quite quickly. We'd have to live together, have a few holidays, decide if I actually could spend the rest of my life with them, get married, have children. That puts me like in my early 40s. So I'd sort of come to the conclusion that this probably wasn't going to happen for me, or not in the traditional way that I had thought. But in terms of being guarded, I think I was really just more refusing now to give anyone any more of me again. Like, I was that annoyed with men that I just didn't really care less. And I actually felt really sorry for the boyfriends that did follow the American that I married, because they copped for this side of me, the side that was a little bit arsey, pissed off, probably not quite as open as I wanted to be. So maybe if you are guarded in relationships, maybe this translates to your business style as well. How would that be? So maybe you play it safe. Yeah, maybe you always err on the side of caution. So you don't show your personality. Yeah, you're hiding a little bit behind perfect branding. Maybe you don't like putting yourself out there on social media, on your website. You don't like talking about how good you are and how much you can offer somebody. And perhaps you're protecting yourself so much that no one can actually see you and choose you. Because that's what it's about, isn't it? In relationships and in business. We are wanting people to. And if you are guarding yourself to some degree, then they can't get the full picture of who you are as a partner and as a business owner. And then the fifth and final relationship style is the one I think we all aspire to be, is the secure one. Okay. Now, in a relationship, what does this look like? Pretty much does what it says on the tin. You're feeling secure. You're communicating clearly with each other. You're mature. You can have these conversations when somebody annoys you or they're doing something that you're upset about without worrying that, it's all going to blow up or that you're going to break up, get divorced, whatever. You can have these difficult conversations. You still show up consistently for that person, even when they don't put matching socks into the washing machine and you're left like now trying to find the bloody pairs. Even when there's skid marks in the underpants, you still show up and you put them back in the drawer or the bin if you're me. You don't divorce your partner because they did walk around the washing basket for 3 days. They left it in the middle of the hall. They jumped over it. They skipped around it. They put things on top of it rather than in it without emptying it. You still show up for them. Even when they've got clean washing and they don't put it away in their wardrobe. Instead, they leave it on the end of the bed or that chair in the bedroom that everybody's got that always has piles of clothes on it that nobody can be asked putting away. Even when they do that and they really annoy you, you still show up. Sometimes you might even put it away for them, depending what kind of mood you're in. You don't panic at silence. Yeah, this is me in my 40s now. I embrace it. If me and my husband are sat there at night and we're in the same room and maybe I'm on my laptop or I'm watching some trashy dating program that I really enjoy and he's on his phone or he's gaming or whatever, we don't have to talk to each other if we don't want. We've had a hard day. Our heads are banging from parenting, work. We just want to sit there and do our own thing, and that's fine. We don't have to panic at silence. So being the secure one, it's like the ultimate goal. So for me in relationships, yes, it's Dave, okay? He feels like home to me. I don't need reassurance. I have got trust and faith that you can get through the shitstorms. Bloody hell, we have done. We've got through enough of them. He said to me the other day, he said, we were only together 6 months before the shit hit the fan with your family. I was like, yeah, I know. I said, we're like 12 years on now and it's still going strong. The shit hitting the fan, not us. No, I'm only joking. We are. We're still standing firm. But it's that sort of level of comfort, isn't it? You can tell each other who you fancy on TV. It's not a problem. And it's the same with your business. You're feeling secure. There's no drama. It feels steady. It feels calm. So how does this look in business? Well, you're showing up regularly. Yeah, it's not perfect at all, but you're trusting the process. You're realizing that it takes time to build a business. Not everybody's going to love you, and that's okay. You will find your people. You don't take everything personally. If you send a quote out and someone doesn't get back to you, then it's okay. Maybe you're not right for them. If you ask someone to give you some feedback and they either don't reply or they give you some negative feedback, then that's okay. I mean, it's not. But, it is. You know that you are good at what you do. And we're never going to align fully with everybody. And you're comfortable in that fact. I think that's what's important, feeling comfortable. Because you're not going to be for everybody. And that's okay. And at the end of the day, you can only marry one person at a time. Anyway. But this is the dream, isn't it? And this is where I try and get my clients to feeling that security in their business. So that things feel stable, they feel secure. It's like the ultimate goal in relationships and in business. And honestly, I think once you get to that point, you can get to be feeling this level of security, then these are the businesses that go the distance. These are the couples that are in their 80s holding hands on the park bench watching the sunsets. The ones with the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. The houses where everybody feels safe and they feel at home in your presence as well. And that is a lovely place to be in business. Am I there with my business? I would say almost. Yeah, I am comfortable in myself and what I can offer. Of course, I still have those moments where I go through all of those different relationship styles. The ghoster. Sometimes I might avoid difficult conversations. The people pleaser. Sometimes I might over deliver, take on too much. The Roy, the all in too fast one. Yeah, I can fall hard. I can get excited about new ideas and just go straight for them without thinking about it. The guarded one. Sometimes, yeah, I can play it safe in business. Those days, particularly when I haven't got the emotional energy to plough everything into it, I can be slightly guarded. But ultimately, I would say on the whole, I do feel quite secure. And I think that comes with age as well, doesn't it? And experience and everything that you've been through. And you realise and you put things into perspective that actually it's not the end of the world. If things go wrong, it can be fixed. You're secure enough to know that you're good at what you do, which is a huge one for a lot of people who suffer from imposter syndrome, particularly, and that you are a worthy choice for a partner or a client or a customer. It's believing that, isn't it? And knowing that you are secure in that knowledge of who you are and what you can provide to that person who chooses to either be with you or work with you. So that's my episode for today. I have successfully managed to fold 3 piles, huge piles of washing while I have been recording this. I haven't put it away, not all of it. I've done my daughter's, I've done mine. I've left Dave's on the edge of the bed where I'm sure it will live for another 3 weeks. I'll end up doing it myself anyway. But I hope you've enjoyed it. So I want you to go away and ask yourself this question. If I looked at the way that you run your business, would it tell me exactly what you're like in a relationship? If you want to leave a comment on this episode, let me know your relationship and business style. Drop me a message on Instagram, email me, herhandmadehustle@gmail.com. I would love to hear. And I'll give you a shout out on my stories on Instagram if you can let me know what your business and relationship style is. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. Oh, and before I go, quick little plug. Don't forget, I am now offering website builds. From September, I'll be starting doing these. So if you need a new website, or maybe you just need your current website upgrading, then please do get in touch. And I'm going to be building them with the aim of getting you found through AI platforms like ChatGPT, like Gemini, like Claude, all these ones people are using to ask questions to find whatever it is that you're offering. Because if your website is not answering these questions for people who are now basically changing the way they search, then you aren't going to show up. So my new service will be launching in September. There is a waitlist now. So if you want to join it, pop me an email. I can send you over some more details. Head to the website, herhandmadehustle.co.uk, and you will find some more information on there. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing from September. So do get in touch if it's something that you need. Have a lovely rest of the week, whatever you do, and I'll catch you next time on the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. Bye for now. If today's episode has made you realise that visibility might be about more than just posting and hoping for the best, you are not alone. This is exactly the kind of thing I help independent businesses with, getting clearer on their story, their services, and how they actually show up online, especially on Google. If you want support that's honest, simple, and rooted in real-life business experience, I'm here. Visit my website, herhandmadehustle.co.uk, to see how we could work together. And if this episode helped you, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And don't forget to share it with someone else today who you think would enjoy it too. Thank you, and see you next time.